Marko here from Realty, Victoria, BC. Today I'm going to talk about an oversight that I've noticed in developer contracts, in particular, developer contracts pertaining to pre-sale condos. In my opinion, due to this oversight, developers have lost millions of dollars. Let me give you some context to all of this. When a developer buys a piece of land and he or she rezones that property, let's say to a 15-story condo building, they need construction financing to build this project. Most lenders will not issue a construction mortgage to the developer unless he or she has 30, 40, or 50% of the units pre-sold. And these units are pre-sold via a pre-sale contract. These contracts are typically put together by the developer's law firm along with something called a disclosure statement, which is another document that accompanies the contract of purchase and sale. That's typically 100 to 300 pages worth of information. These contracts are quite a bit more complicated than contracts we use as real estate agents for resale properties. Part of these contracts include two things. Well, they include a lot more, but two of the things are completion date, or the estimated completion date. So the estimated completion date for this building might be 2 or 3 years out. And then there's something called the outside date. That is the date when a buyer can back out and request their deposit back if the development has not been finished. The reason for the outside date is in the past, developers had issues. If they didn't hit the estimated completion date, then the buyers would ask for their money back. So there's this outside date, which typically trails the estimated completion date by a year or two. Well, what's happened in the last few years, and I've been involved in a lot of these scenarios, is there's been a lot of construction delays, and a lot of developers, their law firm, or I don't know who exactly made the decision, the outside date was only a year after the estimated completion date. And in a number of instances where I had buyers, the delays were in excess of a year where the outside date came up. In all the situations I've been involved, the developers honestly were a bit sneaky in my opinion. They tried to send amendments to my buyers asking them to sign an amendment moving the outside date back another year because they know they screwed up, where the law firm screwed up. They should have set those outside dates by trailing the estimated completion date by 2 years, not 1 year. And fortunately enough, all my buyers emailed me. When I looked at the amendment, I said, no, don't sign anything. We have to discuss this. I have to let you know what your options are before you sign anything. One such scenario happened here in Victoria. The outside date came, the amendment was sent out. I had 4 buyers in this project. I talked to all my 4 buyers and I said, listen, they've hit the outside date, which means you can get their deposit back. 2 of my buyers asked for their deposit back. 2 of my buyers signed the amendment because they were happy with the purchase price to extend the outside date by another 2 years. But then what happened is, because the developer lost, I've been told, approximately 30% of pre-sale contracts by buyers backing out, they also lost their bank financing. Remember back in the start of the video, I said a developer, he or she needs 30, 40, or 50% of the units pre-sold in order to secure a construction mortgage. Well, because this development lost a bunch of these contracts because they hit the outside date, and 30% of, let's say, those 40% of sales asked for their deposit back, they lost their construction financing, they had to cancel the condo project, and they had to switch over to a rental project. But this is not the only scenario. Another one happened a few months ago. Another project in Victoria hit the outside date. My client contacts me and he says, Marko, what do you think? I explained to him all the options. I explained to him what was going on in the marketplace. And he also asked for his deposit back. What happens with this particular development going forward, I don't know, but they're probably also going to lose a lot of their contracts. And this is a very small oversight. The reason I say it's a very small oversight, some of these contracts that my buyer signed were in 2022 when there was absolutely no inventory. If those outside dates had been 2 years trailing the estimated completion date, so let's say the estimated completion date is 2 out, instead of the outside date being 3 years out from the signing of the contract, that law firm could have easily made it 4 years out or 2 years trailing the completion date. And guess what? All the buyers would have still bought, and they would have not been able to get out of their contracts until that outside date was hit. But no, because that outside date was overly optimistic, given the environment we are in with all the construction delays, those developers got caught up in losing a bunch of pre-sale contracts. And because the market is very soft right now, it's very difficult to achieve those pre-sale prices again for the developer. And it's probably going to put a number of projects in jeopardy. That's it for this week. Marko, Juras, Fair Realty.